إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق حديث كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We speak today بإذن الله تعالى about the matter in general of the Muslim keeping his tongue clean and his ears clean from talking or listening to that which displeases Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, that which is termed as filthy or of low class or low character, or matters that concern the bedroom or sexual acts between individuals and the like. The Sharia has shown us how to deal with those issues, how the believers are those who are to keep their tongues pure, their speech clean from talking about such matters, so that the society as a whole, or the Muslim community as a whole, is therefore cleansed from this type of kalam, this type of speech. Why even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He speaks about the relation between the man and woman, He uses a method which is in the Arabic language called kinaya. It means that you speak about something that is of a private nature in an indirect way. So rather than say that they have relations or they involve themselves in matters of a sexual nature, He says, you are a garment for them and they are a garment for you. And this is particularly also shown in the Sunnah of Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that he would not speak of these matters outwardly and clearly in that way, but he would have some type of modesty with it, some type of indirect method of indicating it. And this is so that the believer's tongue is tahir or clean, and at the same time, the society is clean. For if you throw out in the atmosphere words, then there are those who are going to hear those words who have no understanding of them. And then they are going to begin to seek what is the proper understanding and what is the proper meaning of this word. What does this word refer to? And then that will lead them to fall into that which, as they say, the end result is not praiseworthy. Or it will be another matter that will occur, is that those who have long left that way, and that manner, and that mode of behavior, they will begin to hear it again, and therefore think it again, and therefore eventually act upon it again. So, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah has a tafsir of the ayat in Surah An-Nur, dealing with such issues, in detail saying how it preserves the community, protects the community from talking filthy talk, from listening to filthy matters, and therefore from planting a seed in the hearts of those who don't know, and making them desire such matters and practices, and spreading that amongst the community, or reminding those who may have forgotten and left, calling their attention and innocence and their desires back to that which they had left and forsaken. This is something to be referred to bi'idhnillahi ta'ala in the future. But at the moment we will inshallah ta'ala take a part of a chapter from Riyadh al-Salihin with his explanation by Shaykh al-Islam Abu Abdullah Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen, Babu Satr Awrat al-Muslimin, covering the thoughts of the Muslim. Wal-Nahyu, and the forbiddens, عن إشاعتها لغير الضرورة. The forbiddance of spreading the thoughts of the Muslim unless there is a clear necessity. Unless there is a clear necessity. قال المؤلف, the author, Nawawi rahimahullah states, chapter covering the thoughts of the Muslims and the forbiddance of spreading it. The term in Arabic is awra. Al-awra. Al-awra. And it has two meanings. Because the awra is of two types. Awra hissiyya, a physical awra, meaning a physical matter that should be covered. Something that should be physically covered and not looked at. Wa awra ma'nawiyya. And the awra in the sense of of moral meanings, connected to the moral meaning of it. فالعورة حسية, the aura in the physical sense, is that which is haram for the person to look at of another person's. The front private parts of the person, or the back private parts of a person. وَمَا أَشْبَهُ, and that which is similar to it. مِمَّا هُوَ مَعْرُوفِ فِي الْفِقْهِ, which is known in fiqh. When somebody says, well, man, in order for you to make your salat, akhi, you got to cover your aura. You have to cover your aura. You know exactly what that means. You know exactly what that means. So from this standpoint, well, aura, that which must be covered, al-ma'nawi, and in the moral meaning that we intend here, he al-aib. It is a fault. A fault. Was-sawa, yani fault or su or some evil that one is doing, khalqi or amali, or khuluqi or amali. And it based upon behavior or their practices. Something of evil that they have fallen into. This that they have fallen into, this is that matter that they have done wrong, it's an aura. It's an aura. And it's something that must be covered. And la shakka al-insan kama wasafahu Allah azza wa jal. The person is after Allah ta'ala described all of the humans in Quran. When he says, Inna aradna al-amanata ala samawati wal-ard wal-jibal. Verily we presented the trust upon the heavens and the earth and the mountains. فَأَبَيْنَا أَن يَحْمِلْنَاهَا. They refused to carry it. وَحَمَلَهَا إِنسَانٌ. And they وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا. And they were fearful of it. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ. But man carried it. Then he mentions the qualities that all men have. إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَحُولًا. This because he is such that he is ignorant or unjust and ignorant. Unjust, dhuluman, and ignorant, jahulan. فالإنسان, so every person, موصوف بهذين وصفين, is to be described with these two qualities: الظلم, injustice, والجهل, ignorance. So a person who falls into a sin does it intentionally. Amdan, he commits a sin. Amdan, intentionally he disobeys Allah and does that which is haram. فَيَكُمْ ظَالِمًا. This one is unjust to himself. But the one who commits a khata, a mistake, and jahal, upon ignorance, فَيَكُمْ جَحُولًا, then he's ignorant. This is the status of the man, except the one who Allah protects and grants him ilm, knowledge, which is the opposite of ignorance, wal adl, justice, which is the opposite of injustice. فَإِنَّهُ يَمْشِي بِالْحَقِّ. That person walks upon the truth. وَيَهْدِي إِلَى الْحَقِّ, and guides to the truth. وَذَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ مِنْ تَبِعَتِهِ. So since it's from the nature of men that they what? Have taqsir, they are short. And he's short in their responsibilities. They fall short. وَالنَّقْص, they have deficiency. وَالْعَيْب, they have faults. Then it's wajib, obligatory on a Muslim regarding his brother is to cover his faults. is to cover his faults. And don't spread them unless there is a necessity. If necessity dictates that, then you must do that. But if this necessity does not dictate that, then it is better, al-awla foremost, wal-afdal, better and superior, that you cover your brother's faults. Because a man, any man is a bashar, it's a human being. رُبَمَا يُخْطِئ, maybe that he makes a mistake and shahwa, based upon his desire. Yani he wanted to do some type of evil, based upon a desire. Or in shubha, based upon a doubt, because the truth was not clear to him. The truth was not clear to him, so therefore he stated batil, that which was falsehood, or he acted on batil, that which was falsehood. Wal mu'min, the believer, covers the fault of his brother. The believer covers the fault of his brother. He gives an example. Say, for example, you see a man who's lying and cheating. Al-kadhab, lying and cheating, ghish, in the matter of bay wa shira, buying and selling. This man's a merchant. You caught him lying and you caught him cheating. He says, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, do not expose him in front of the people. But rather, ansahahu, advise him and cover him. If by this he's granted tawfiq to do what's right, and he's guided to what's correct, and he leaves that which he was upon, then this is what is intended. هذا هو مراد. This is what was desired, what was wanted. وإلا, if he doesn't, وَجَبَ عَلَيْكَ أَن تَبَيِّنَ أَمْرُهُ, it becomes obligatory you to make clear his matter to the people, so that the people won't be tricked and they won't be deluded. So that the people won't be tricked or deluded. You see, once again, the Shaykh is emphasizing the fact that satr or covering is the key, and it is the norm, and it is the basis, and it is the proper behavior, and exposing and revealing only comes after one has tried one's utmost to advise privately and to correct. And this may be something different than one is used to hearing nowadays. Say, for instance, he gives another example. You see a man or a woman, but in particular he's talking about man here. But a woman also could have this trial of looking at men. But the Shaykh has given an example of looking at women. A man who has a problem with his eyes. Well, sooner the woman comes in front of him, he has to look. He doesn't lower his gaze. What do? This Shaykh is giving giving to us amthila, examples, waqi'iyya, realistically to happen, and giving us a practical method on how we deal with it. What do? Do you go and tell everybody, ahi, the man can't control his eyes. He looks at everything, ahi, a'udhu billah. The man is a fornicator or adulterer of the eyes. Like this. It's just the method that one uses. The Shaykh says, no, you cover his fault. And you advise him, and you explain to him that looking is like one of the arrows of shaitan. Looking. The arrows of shaitan, by which he can hit the heart of a believer. If there's protection there by Allah Ta'ala, then it will stop the arrow from hitting him. That shaitan is thrown into his heart. But if not, then it will hit him. And then it will lead that from that sight, or from that looking at that woman, and the arrow of shaitan hitting him and reaching its goal, it tadarruj, by progress, it leads him to he falls into a filthy action with the woman. and that which is illegal or forbidden for him to do, and falls into munkar, that which has been forbidden. And he said, we refuge in Allah from that. فَمَنْ دَعَمَّ, as long as as-satr mumkinan, covering the faults of your brother is possible, covering the sins of your brother is possible, and لم يكن في كشف عن عورة أخيك مصلحة, and there's no overriding benefit in exposing his faults, no necessity to doing it, then to cover his faults and not expose them is what is required. To cover his faults and not expose him is what is required. This is something we have to learn. The minbar is not used for exposing faults. The masjid is not used for exposing faults and exposing the failings and shortcomings of people. The circles in the masjid are not used for exposing faults. The maktaba, the book, the library, the tape room, the corner on the street, the sittings in the restaurant or in our houses, none of these are to be used as a vehicle, not only for looking and searching for faults, those hunters who look for these things, but let alone those who actually find a legitimate fault, not a made up or imaginary one. But we have that going around too. But who find a legitimate fault, it is not used. Those sittings, our sittings and our gatherings, must not be used for exposing believing men and believing women. Now this is a minhaj rabbani. This is a Lord laid down by the Rabb methodology. No one can accuse someone who has acted upon these narrations. Well, someone can. People accuse people of a lot of things. But normally, if a person is aqil and intelligent, can accuse someone of saying, well, she don't want to talk about faults of sisters because she's down with such and that's her girl. Or he don't want to talk about the faults of such and such, expose the faults of such and such, because he's down with such and that's his boy. No, this is a minhaj rabbani. This is a minhaj for me. And it's a minhaj for you. It's a way for me. And it's a way for you. It's a methodology for me to interact in my life. And it's a methodology for you. And there's even methodology for the person who will be stupid enough to raise the accusation. It's a program set by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Program indicated and shown in the lives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba that satr, covering, is first. And revealing and exposing. It's like cauterization, medicine by fire. It's the last form you use. And it's only used لِلدُّرُورَةِ, for necessity. If there's no necessity, brother, then keep quiet. If there's no necessity, brother, then keep it to yourself. If there's no necessity, brother, then shut up. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. The ayah says in Surah An-Nur, verse 19, إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب عليم في الدنيا والآخرة. Verily those who love to spread lewd, filthy matters regarding those who believe, for them is a severe punishment in this world and the hereafter. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُحِبُّونَ أَن تَشِيعَ الْفَاحِشَةَ, those who love to spread Yani have a hub for that. Fahisha, illegal sexual intercourse, and anything that leads up to that. Lewd acts and manners of behavior that are atrocious and abhorrent and forbidden. Individuals that love that's spread about amongst the believers or spread about a believer. فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, those who believe, لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, be aware, for them is a severe punishment. فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ, in this world and the next. Sheikh says, هَؤُلَاءِ الَّذِينَ يَحِبُّونَ أَن تَشِيعَ, those who love that bad things be spread, filthy matters be spread, lewdness be spread. This is a punishment for them. The ones who just love it. Not that they actually carried out the spreading. But when the news came to them, or the lie came to them, or the slander came to them, or the backbiting came to them, or the cow-tearing came to them, they were happy with it. They loved it. Are you talking about the believers? Or one of the believers? Oh yeah, this is beautiful. So what about the one who actually spreads it? And the Sheikh says we seek refuge in Allah from that. Wal-muhabba, loving that fahisha, evil doing, and filthy matters be spread regarding those believers are two types. First type, first meaning we understand, muhabbat al-shiyu al-fahisha. A person who loves that filthiness is spread. Filthy stories, filthy statements, filthy actions, filthy issues. في المجتمع المسلم, and within the Muslim community or the Muslim society. Like those who like that pornography and the films of that nature and videos of that nature to be spread. Those who like that dirty magazines and things of that nature to be spread. Ha'ulai, these type, la shak, there's no doubt, أنهم يحبون تشيء الفاحشة. They want to spread evilness and fahisha and filthiness throughout the Muslim society. And they want to be a source of fitna, a source of trial and tribulation, to remove a Muslim from his deen, from what they spread of this filthiness in their majalat, their magazines, al-khali'ah, al-fasida, that are corrupt, and in the videos and the films that they spread, or ma ashbah dharik, or what is similar to that. And those who have the ability to prevent them and don't prevent them, ability meaning they legislatively have the right to do so, they're not taking upon themselves. If they do it, if they can stop them, they would in fact be stopped, like those who have authority. These individuals who don't do so and they have the ability, they are also of those who love what? That the fahisha, the evil, filthiness be spread. And spread amongst the Muslims. These, lahum adhabun alim, for them it is severe torment, severe punishment. Fi dunya wal akhirah, in this life first. Fi dunya wal akhirah, then the hereafter. So if you're spreading or you love that it spread falsehood and filth and low matters regarding believing men and believing women, know that you're not getting away with anything. That Allah Ta'ala will place upon that individual severe punishment in this life, the dunya, and then the hereafter. Ma'na thani, the second meaning for loving that fahisha or evil or low or filthy matters be spread about a shakhs mu'ayyan, a particular person. Not in the whole society, but this particular person. This also, this one who loves this, will have a severe punishment in this life and hereafter. The one who wants that filthy matters be spread about this Muslim or that Muslim, as the Sheikh says, Zayd or Amr, or this person or that person, yani anybody. لِسَبَبٍ مَا, for some reason, this person also will receive a severe punishment in this life and hereafter. This person will also receive a severe punishment in this life and the hereafter. We have a narration which we can end on authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam stated, لا يستر عبد عبدا في الدنيا إلا ستره الله يوم القيامة. No servant covers the faults of his brother in this world except that Allah will cover the faults of that brother, of that servant who covered the faults of his brother on the day of resurrection. Satr ikhfa. We explained this. He explains in more detail. Satr li mahmud, a satr which is mahmud and a satr which is not. There's a praiseworthy covering and there's a covering that's not praiseworthy. Very quickly, the covering that's praiseworthy is where it's a Muslim who's jaded, he's up on upper right, and he's not in a habit or his practice is not fahisha. This is not his norm to commit lewd, filthy acts. Nor does he transgress except nadiran, rarely. This one, it befits the person that they cover his faults and advise him and explain to him that he's upon a mistake and he's upon danger. This is Satr Mahmud, praiseworthy covering. Satr, which is Mathmoom, blameworthy, is covering a man who doesn't fulfill any of his obligations regarding deen. Mutahawan, take the deen light. Doesn't do that which Allah has ordered him to do. In a habit of committing harm to the servants of Allah, فَهَذَا لَا يَسْتَرْ. This one is not to be covered. But what is legislated is that his case be taken to the Muslims in authority, and particularly in those countries where the Muslims have authority, so that they can deal with his situation. As-satr, covering, follows the masalih, the benefit. Once again, as-satr, covering the faults of your brother and sister, is in accordance with their benefit. If there's a benefit for covering their faults, then first and foremost you should cover their faults. And if there's a benefit from uncovering them and exposing them, then you should do that. And if you're hesitant and you don't know whether uncovering is more beneficial or covering is beneficial, then you cover the faults of your Muslim brother or sister. There are narration that I won't be able to go into the detailed tafsir of it. And that is the Prophet sallallahu or sharh of it said that all of Allah tabarak ta'ala's servants are mu'afa, will be forgiven, except al-mujahireen, those who outwardly commit acts. Mujahara is a man does an action at night or whatever, and Allah hides it. And then in the morning, he himself said, I did this and that and the like. Whereas he was under the covering of Allah, he exposes himself. This is the one who is under threat of being not forgiven by Allah Ta'ala. A lot of times when we tend to come into the matter of exposing, we forget this hadith. Especially if it's an act where individuals were together. Two brothers were together. Or two sisters were together. Or a brother and sister was together. We don't understand that in exposing one, we are admitting the faults of ourselves and exposing ourselves to being from the mujahideen, those who may have been covered by Allah Ta'ala and they exposed themselves. So they are under that threat from Allah Ta'ala, if we had more time, we would add more benefit from the ocean of knowledge from which the Shaykh, rahimahullah, is pouring us something to whet our taste with. Nevertheless, we don't have the time. But let it be understood, a satr, covering the faults of your brother or your sister, is the way. And it's fi aqlab al-ahwal, in more circumstances. And that exposing is supposed to be the exception, not the rule. If in your mind you had different, or in your heart you held different, or somewhere you were taught different, or somewhere you experienced different, to know that, inshaAllah ta'ala, the matter has been clarified. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وأقيموا الصلاة.